It's an exciting announcement first, being Epsilon Retail Media, and what it means is we are the first retail media solution to pair AI with person-based identity, all with closed-loop attribution. So it's really exciting that pairing these three things together, and ultimately what does it mean for advertisers? It means less waste, better performance, and verified measurement for them.
Wow, you just said a number of buzzwords.
Yeah.
And let's talk through a couple of those things. You just said identity. With the deprecation of third-party cookies currently happening in the market, what role does identity play in this platform?
So Epsilon has always been a cookie-less platform, and that's really important as we enter the cookie-less world, that a lot of providers have not been ready, or they're using things like devices or emails in order to match identity. But Epsilon is a person-based identity solution that we're matching online as well as offline indicators to find that person across the web. And as the third party is deprecated, these walled gardens, retail media networks are increasingly becoming the focus. However, if they don't have the identity to be able to map those customers across the web, it really falls flat. And we ran a case study with another large retailer for a third-party DSP, and what we found was, because they didn't have that identity matched, only 1 out of 3 impressions were actually reaching that intended audience. Of the 1 out of 3 that matched the intended audience, they drove 93% of the conversions for the campaign. So it just goes to show the importance of reaching that identified person who maps back to the retailer's audience, because ultimately that's what's driving the performance for the brand.
Yeah, it's like retail media doesn't work without data, but it also doesn't work without identity.
Exactly. You have to be able to find them outside of the walled garden.
So another buzzword that came up just now was AI. It is definitely a hot topic in the industry. Can you talk about how AI is baked into the Epsilon Retail Media platform?
So Epsilon's been working with AI for over 10 years. We've leveraged predictive AI to be able to reach the right consumer in the right environment with the right message, and using that data to really fuel the beast and to drive the data going forward. The other opportunity is really with generative AI, and generative AI really comes into play whether it be with creative or campaign management, but where we also see an opportunity is with clean rooms and more complex data products, where AI can really help the fingers on keyboards people, the agencies, be able to ingest that data, digest it, the complex data sets, and action on it.
The last kind of piece of the announcement was around measurement. And measurement is definitely a hot button topic, particularly in the retail media sense. How do we get everyone on an equal playing field in terms of measurement when you have different retail media partners providing different metrics? Is there something about the methodology that matters?
It absolutely matters. Today it is highly fragmented, it is not standardized, but it is something that the market is really asking for. But I think the market is still catching up. There isn't the standardization. A lot of times providers are leaning on the ROAS metric that can be easily gamified. So it's important that A, we get the standardization right, but B, we get the metrics right. And how do we evolve beyond ROAS to really show that brands are driving the needle forward in terms of overall sales, in terms of the share, in terms of the lift in the category.
This is somewhat of a new role for you. Is there anything that you're particularly excited about moving forward?
I'm really excited about the Epsilon technology. It really moves beyond the on-site and the off-site, but how do we leverage clean rooms to help create better insights and greater insights for brands, really leveraging the best of the best ad tech to drive performance.